Therefore, verse 18, not even the first covenant, the prote, was inaugurated without blood. This word inaugurated is similar to the word of renewed. It's the root word is kainos, which is where we get our word for a new covenant most often, right? Kainos theothekes, renewed. In fact, we could even say it that way. Therefore, not even the first covenant was renewed without blood. But renewed? But we know he's talking about the Mosaic covenant because he's going to explain it in verse 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, etc. So we know he's talking about Mosaic covenant, but why would he say renewed? Right? Why? I mean, the Mosaic covenant wasn't the renewal of a covenant, was it? Or was it? On the one hand, the first covenant really is the Mosaic covenant. But on the other hand, in the back of the readers of our minds as well, the Mosaic covenant is not the first covenant that God had in mind with the people of Israel. Rather, that started way back in Genesis 15, where God cut the covenant with Abraham and Abraham's offspring, which would, of course, was still future. So thus, in one sense, we could say that the blood brought the blood of the animals that we read about in Exodus chapter 24, which we're going to read here as well in Hebrews, the next few verses. We could say that the blood of the animals brought the Mosaic covenant into reality, which in fact it did. But on the other hand, we could see this, in this word inaugurated, which is the Greek word enkekainestai, the Mosaic covenant itself was actually even a renewal of the Abrahamic covenant. In other words, it was God giving the Abrahamic covenant a new aspect to it qualitatively that was on a corporate level and bringing in what we call covenant obedience into the picture from which justification was already a part. So he talks about that therefore even the first covenant was inaugurated without blood. He's primarily talking about the Mosaic covenant being brought into the picture when he talks about prote and the first dual compartment of the tabernacle. But we could also just keep in mind that the Mosaic covenant was not the beginning of God's workings with Israel. Rather, the covenant with Abraham exactly was. So from there we move down into verse 19.